So one of the games that I wanted to look at from the first day of the Women's Olympic Soccer Tournament was the U.S. and New Zealand game. The U.S. is obviously not only the defending Olympic champion, but they also won the World Cup last year. So, as has been said many times, they're looking to become the first women's team ever to win the World Cup and then the Olympics back to back. I wanted to look at this game in particular, and then I'm gonna make two more videos about the other two games that I haven't looked at yet. But this video is just gonna be about the U.S. New Zealand game. So from the U.S. Women's National Team perspective, the lineup, which was a talking point coming in, I think it wasn't nothing was too surprising. I think it was all kind of there. The uh, keeper and the back four were pretty much set in stone, and nothing changed from there. The potential for different combinations was in the holding midfield spots, and the two who got the nod were Morgan Bryan and Ali Long next door. The other candidate there was Lindsey Horan, who did come on as a sub later in the game. Um, and then a little bit moving forward in the lineup, Carly Lloyd and Tobin Heath and Alex Morgan were expected to start, with the last winger spot probably being between Crystal Dunn or Mallory Pugh, the 18-year-old, and Mallory Pugh got the nod, and I thought she got subbed out due to an injury somewhat early, but I thought when she was on, she was really good, as she's been displaying with the senior team for just about, not quite the last year, but for the last couple months. So those are the lineup things. In terms of looking forward from the U.S.'s lineup, I think that the only two reasons they would change, one is that a potential injury. So if for some reason Mallory Pugh injury is more serious than what they're letting on, then maybe she has to sit out the next game, or the potential for, hopefully, for no team to have an injury in training or etc. Other than that, I think most people are expecting the lineup to stay relatively the same. One thing I would potentially look out for is, because they're playing France on Saturday, who is probably the most talented team in the tournament, right there with the U.S. There's the potential that they might want to put in another holding midfield player to try to bring their ball possession numbers up against France, and also just to have another person to defend. So one thing especially if Mallory Pugh isn't 100%, one thing I might look out for is to go from more of a 4-2-3-1 to more of either a 4-3-3, 4-4-2 type deal, where you would put in Lindsey Horan to play alongside both Ali Long and Morgan Bryan, and then up top you have Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd, and Tobin Heath. I don't anticipate that happening, only because I don't think that the U.S. wants to go into a game thinking defensively. I think they want to be on the front foot. But if I was the coach, I would consider doing that, to be honest, especially with the way France played, which I'll get to in the next video. So that's just something to keep in mind, that maybe they might want to slide in another holding midfield player. In terms of the game itself, how the game went, Carly Lloyd had a goal in the 9th minute off of a nice play from Tobin Heath. Lloyd headed it in. There was a definite offside shout from New Zealand's perspective, but the referee in the AR ruled that it was a legal play, so the goal stood. And then right off the second half whistle, Alex Morgan scored a really nice goal. If I'm being critical of the New Zealand keepers, as a keeper, you hate to get beat on your near post. So if a shot's coming to you, you want to make them beat you going far. But it was, I'm not critical. The New Zealand keeper, I actually thought, played a really nice game, and it was a good goal from Alex Morgan. So I'm being highly critical, but that's just one thing I would point out. I'm gonna get back to the U.S. in a minute. But I want to shift to a New Zealand perspective because I talked a lot about New Zealand coming into this game, um, or coming into the tournament, not just this game, about how I thought that they had a good amount of talent, that they were going to give the U.S. enough game, that they have a good shot to, even with the U.S. and France in this group, they have a good shot to move on. And although I wasn't overly impressed with them, I thought that they played pretty well. They more than held their own. They were physical. They had their chances to score. They didn't have like one or two, or they didn't have too many, golden opportunities you would call it. But they did. They had enough possession in the U.S. half. They had a couple of offensive set pieces. So I think that I'm excited to see them play against Colombia coming up, and then their third game will be against France, which will be a tough one. But I've always liked this New Zealand team. I think they're a fun team to watch, and it was for them. It's somewhat unfortunate that they had to draw the U.S. Although it might be a blessing in disguise because, you know, uh, sometimes it's good to play up the competition as opposed to playing down to it. So even though you don't get the result, you do feel like you're moving in the right direction by playing the uh, number one ranked team in the world tough. So I'm very high on New Zealand, and this game didn't take away from that at all. I really like this New Zealand side. Um, so I want to emphasize that I nothing but positive things to say about New Zealand. I thought maybe they could have been a little more offensive, but it's much easier said than done when you're going against the U.S. because you can leave yourself really vulnerable if you send too many players forward. And I don't think that they wanted to do that, especially in the first game where you're not yet chasing points. You just want to sit back, keep it tight, and then if you get that one opportunity or that one set piece, go for it. And I thought that they did, and it's tough to beat Hope Solo. So I'm going to go back to the U.S. perspective now, but I just wanted to say well done to New Zealand. I really like their team, and I'm very anxious to see how they do against Colombia. That will be a fun game to watch between two good teams. So now shifting back to the U.S. and just talking about some individual player performances. I thought, as many people are talking about, Tobin Heath played fantastic. I think people who watch this team have come to expect that. She's just phenomenal on the ball, on offensive set pieces. Just a really good overall player. As I said, Mallory Pugh, who made her Olympic debut as an 18-year-old, when she was on, she played really well. Ali Long, who also made her Olympic debut, I thought played well in the holding midfield role. Other than that, I think it was a typical performance. There's not a lot to negatives to point out, I would say. I would really like to see Crystal Dunn get more playing time, but obviously it's tough when you have Pugh and Heath to compete with. But I think Crystal Dunn is definitely worthy of getting a start coming up. She did come in as a sub, which was good to see. And then while I'm on this game, I'll just give a quick preview of the U.S.-France game, which I'll save most of that for the France video I'm going to do. But that should be an awesome game. I'm gonna save that for the France video I'm gonna do coming up. So just wrapping up this video, it was a good game, very enjoyable to watch. Well done to New Zealand. I hope that they can advance to the knockout stage. They're fun. Like I said, they're a really fun team to watch. And well done to the U.S. It's not easy being either the favorite or the co-favorite coming into the tournament in the first game, no matter who you're playing. So they had a nice win, and now they get a couple days rest, and then they'll take on France, and I'll talk about that game very shortly. So thanks for watching. If you have if I missed anything that you think, please either comment or email me. I'm always trying to get what people think about these games, so I'd love your opinions. Alright, thank you, and look out for the France and then Canada video as well. And then get ready for Saturday, another huge day of Olympic soccer coming on Saturday.